Well, I know I'm not going to stop the war. I don't want this anniversary to pass in Tallahassee without doing anything.
I support and I'm working with the people who are working to light the luminaries around Lake Ella. I think it's going to be a good project. It gives some kind of a visual representation of the number of soldiers that have been killed in Iraq, the number of U.S. soldiers that have been killed in Iraq.
I think it's nice because it gives you, number one, anytime you can do something where you get 3,000 of something, it gives people an idea of the number of casualties, like a real visceral feel for how many people have died. But it isn't disrespectful in any way, whether you're pro-war and anti-war, and I think it's just kind of a reminder.
Somebody's supposed to pay attention to this.
It was very personal, having the names and the ages on the bags. Two of the most common comments were, wow, I didn't realize how many have died, and wow, how young these people were. And so when they started coming up and asking me, you know, what are you doing? They inevitably asked, well, can I help? And so the group grew.
I feel a real difference from, you know, when I went, the Vietnam era, when I was a teenager. It seemed like there was a lot more activism going on, even in high school. I remember wearing black armbands, and I wish more people were angry, you know, and voiced it.
I think the question you have to ask is if there were no protests in America, would the insurgents stop fighting? You know, of course they wouldn't. They would continue to fight because there's somebody occupying their country. Right or wrong, they're upset about it. They don't like Americans being in their country, and so they're going to fight regardless of what's going on here.
I don't know. I don't know all the solutions, but I do know that how much every single death hurts so many people. And the longer this goes on, I think the pain and the suffering and a lot of times the anger and, you know, the hatred that can build up because of war, you know, and it's, I mean, I know it's going on in Iraq, but I know it's happening here too.
Again, I was raised in the military, and these are our soldiers, not the troops. They're our troops. They belong to me as much as anybody.
But if you actually talk to the troops and most of the guys who are here, they do support it and they want to win.
I love being in the Marine Corps. I love serving my country. It's just it's hard sometimes because there's a balance, I guess, between civilians, you know, trying to keep civilians happy and also, you know, uphold military tradition as far as get your orders, do what you're told, and not have an opinion about it until later.
We've established that 60 or 70% of Americans now don't think that the war in Iraq should be going on. The polls are showing. So I don't see what the protesters are doing that the polls aren't showing.
My son has this, I don't know what kind of gun. You know, I was always anti-gun, and so of course that's what he was interested in. So his specialty is artillery, but over there he's doing infantry basically. But he had a grenade launcher on his gun, and you might not be able to see anything, but this was when they were all in the bus, and I was just watching them, and one person was passing out, another person's like this, and you know, just looking at them and wondering what they were thinking. It's really something.
I saw the information about the luminary, and I think it hurts the soldiers, and I think it encourages the enemy, events like that, and I think that increases the danger to the troops.
Who will lead the flock today?
you know, you join the military, and it's such an ideal situation. The military itself is an ideal organization. You know, you don't lock your doors. You're part of something bigger, and your camaraderie and friends, and you know, selfless service, and you're going to go out and do something great for the country, and you're sacrificing, you know, everything for your friends that are next to you, and then someone questions it, you know, and you've seen your friends die, and that's hard. That's why you have the problem with the protesters and soldiers. Is it's difficult to put everything out there on the line and to realize that, you know, and to make all those sacrifices and see your friends die or be hurt, and to have the military. It's funny because you talk to veterans who are missing both their legs and things like that, and they still are, you know, very, very pro-military. And it's because of this ideal system that you live in, where anybody can make it, anybody can do it. You know, all you have to do is work hard, and so I think that's hard. It creates a rift between that and civilian population, so that anytime anyone says something negative about the military, it's perceived as kind of an attack on your belief system.
It's hard for us to stand up and talk about it, because on one hand it makes us look like we're just trying to push, you know, military views on everybody else, and that's not how it is. And Julian was the same way. He knew when he joined what was going on, but on the other hand, he was a caring person too, and he knew that, along with Meredith, you know, being his mom and stuff, that it's about peace too. Military's not just about going over and conquering countries and stuff like that. So.
I'd like to read something that I wrote called A Call for Peace. War comes at a terrible price, and although I'm sure all of us here have many different ideas of how it should be done, we are united in our desire for this war to cease. I believe it is important to realize our unity towards this goal and not argue amongst ourselves, but rather all work together to find our own ways, our own part we can play to make this happen. Julian found his path, a different one from mine. But he was so dedicated in his desire to make a difference. And he stood proudly as a man of honor, courage, and compassion. I'm so proud of him. I want the young men here today, some of whom will be returning to Iraq, to know that we all care about you so much, and to know that our hearts are with you, and that our efforts here in this country to bring peace are because we want you all to come safely home.